Give me a bit.
That's
Welcome to the Pelle Neroth Taylor and Martin Sieff show on this Wednesday afternoon in Europe. Marty's away today, so it's just me. But we've got Matt Hines, who's an Atlanta-based attorney, entrepreneur, and business builder who knows the success the hard way. He launched his law firm straight out of school with no investors and no safety net. And he's got several companies, employ over 200 people across legal, real estate, advertising, social media, and consultancy. And he's actually quite good about talking about entrepreneurship. I'm fascinated because we all wonder if we chose the right job, right? You know, if we chose a field that's dead and dying. And Matt's experience sounds as if he can kind of give us a comparison because he's got experience of several of them. But just before the show, we were actually talking about a joint interest of ours, and we are, of course, a news show mainly. Matt, what we would and the Tate brothers, those bald foes, villains to some people, heroes to others, who were in Romania for a long time. I think they half English, half American, and they are like sort of the punks of the 1970s. They're hated and feared by their elders, but sort of somewhat heroes for a younger generation because they're speaking up against this the sort of feeling that many young men that they're not wanted in our society, and that everything is feminists are put on a pedestal, and we're in a state where good times lead to hard, good men lead to good times lead to bad times lead to bad people, whatever that is. Anyway, young men are not given role models. They can't perform, they can't get on the career ladder, and so on. And it's all a bit messy. Now we've got a Europe and America that's going backwards, vis-a-vis the other big powers out there. Matt, you said something quite interesting because the mainstream media is quite against these guys. Tell us a little bit about them for those who haven't heard about them, and why is your stance different from the mainstream media?
okay. So, thank you for having me on. By the way, it's kind of an honor. I don't think we've done a European podcast before, so I guess
Okay,
we're branching out. We're
right.
taking over the world. Okay, cool. So, thanks again. So, Andrew and Tristan Tate, they've been Andrew was a kickboxer for a while and then got into influencing, I know, making videos, him and his brother. I don't know a whole lot about their history. I have listened to their recent commentary and their appearances like on PBD and a lot of other podcasts, Patrick Bet David. And I know where Andrew stands. He had some great interviews on Pierce Morgan. And so anyway, the latest, let's see. So rewind, I think 3 or 4 years ago, Romania extradited him over and had him put in prison there for like 6 months, and then finally released him. I don't think there was ever any evidence put forth that shows they were guilty. They were just charged with crimes, then held in prison, and then finally released. That's my understanding. So now, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, we find out that the UK wants to extradite him back to the UK on about 40 something charges, sex related charges, really nasty stuff. And I know they appeared in court not too long ago, and their attorney was trying to fight the extradition, saying, no, don't send them back. And as part of that argument, he says, well, what evidence do you have to show that they're guilty? Like, show us something. They said, well, we don't really have anything yet. It's coming. So nothing. There's no witnesses. There's no names of witnesses. There's no videos. There's nothing. All it is some horrible charges that have been made against these guys. And they're being kept in solitary confinement. And from what their attorney's saying, they're being attacked in prison. I don't know about physically yet, but not well treated. And it's just sad. And so we got half of the people, I don't know if it's half and half, but some of the people say, well, they should be found guilty, that they're bad people, that they've said really bad things in the past, and therefore it's likely that they did commit these crimes. That's all they can say. They could just extrapolate from the fact that they've said some things in the past on podcasts and other things that because those were inflammatory and maybe misogynistic against women, therefore they're probably guilty of these allegations that are coming out of the UK. Then there's the other side that says, well, they speak out a lot against the government. They disagree a lot with what the government does, and they're very vocal, and they're very good at talking. I don't think there's a better speaker on the planet.
Mm,
That's a big statement, but there's not many people that can articulate thoughts like Andrew Tate, in my
mm,
opinion. I mean, he can
mm,
just roll with it. You might disagree with what he says, but he
mm,
rolls with his thoughts very well.
mm, mm,
And so the other half of the world saying, no, they're just being persecuted for what they've done. And
mm,
governments don't want them out there speaking,
mm,
creating conflict or disagreeing with us
mm,
and disrupting the status quo. I totally agree with the second group that
mm,
Andrew and Tristan Tate are treated completely unfairly. We
mm,
just never seen evidence, man.
mm,
Um, I'm not for protecting pedophiles or anything
mm,
like that, but I certainly, if you're going to accuse people of these horrible crimes, show us the evidence at
mm,
least, or something,
mm,
something to substantiate what you're doing, because they're destroying these guys' lives.
mm,
They did it in Romania and then let them go, and those charges are just pending. They're
mm,
trying to find a case against these guys.
mm.
That's preposterous. That there's a world that we live in would do that to people, where throw them in jail, take away their freedoms, freeze their bank accounts, do everything, destroy their lives,
Mm.
and let's see if we can find something that they did wrong. Like, what the hell? So it's sad to me. It's sad that this could be done to somebody. And
Yeah. What, do you
anyway,
know what state are they incarcerated in? I mean, how do the extradition laws work? Because, and the other thing that makes me wonder is that I know that the British worked very closely with the Biden administration to, ban free speech and so on. I mean, the British Ofcom organization is trying to extend its technical tentacles to the United States and using something called the Center of Digital Hate. Mike Benz is very good on this, and the British Empire never went away. It's reconstituted itself as a kind of legal guardian of what they think is free speech, and I think the intelligence agencies are behind it and everything. But I thought that, famously, J.D. Vance and Trump have both spoken out against. I mean, they've kind of
yeah,
defined the new post-election America in terms of, you know, 1776 all over again. We Americans, we stand for free speech. We're not going to allow any foreign power to trample on us legally or to get extraditions or to impose transnational free speech restrictions. Uh, as Americans say, we had 1776, so we didn't have to have your 1984, right? With the Orwellian speech thing. So there's a lot of in the MAGA sphere. There's quite a lot of anti-Britishness going around. How how does Trump? I mean, how does MAGA treat all this? I mean, are they turning them into free speech heroes or what?
no, they seem to be just turning a cold shoulder towards them and not wanting to help. That's
Right.
what I get. I think the word in the beginning was that Trump would step in and help them. And now Marco Rubio, who's our Secretary of State, and he does other things, he has stepped in and said, no, there's really nothing we're going to do as far as stopping the extradition. And from what I can tell, the scary thing is over here is where they have a chance. It once they get to England, I don't think they're going to receive any sort of a fair treatment, from what I
Mm,
can tell.
right.
Um, I mean, England, and that's you were born there? Is that am I
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I grew up there. I
Okay,
lived there for most of my life.
okay. It they have like the largest number of people incarcerated based on social media postings, is my
That's right.
understanding.
That's right.
That's scary. And JD Vance actually spoke out against that.
That's right.
But hell, these days people say one thing and then they do something else, especially with Trump. You never know what the hell he's going to do. He's not an ally. He's not loyal to anything really.
Right.
So I wouldn't. I'd love for Trump to step in and help these guys. It doesn't appear he's going to do it. As far as MAGA's stance, I don't know. MAGA's such a cluster F right now, man.
Mm,
They started out strong with a good purpose and a good
mm.
mission, and now that we've had Epstein and we've had the Iran war and we've had just all sorts of stuff going in America, MAGA really doesn't stand for much anymore.
You're right. I mean, we don't
We
even
don't
know
know
what
what the
maggot.
hell they believe. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a few kind of idiot voters who are like Trump, 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 but when they're asked why, they don't know why they like him. They just that's what they think they
Yeah.
should do.
I mean, there was a major betrayal of his base, wasn't it? I mean, I had a show on another channel in 2024, and my producer was an American. She was an American former Trump press person. So she had huge numbers of contacts within Trump world, and I got a lot of them on, and I actually got a very good, much better idea than almost anyone in Europe what Trump was thinking, or Trump MAGA. And of course, it was a coalition. It was the libertarians who didn't want war, and the COVID critics, and all that. And the big podcast has got a quite people who are liberals or libertarians or leftists or former Democrats, and Elon Musk is a Democrat. So it's a large coalition. A lot of these people didn't want these forever wars, and then Trump turns around and goes to war, in Iran. I mean, isn't that a disaster? Completely betraying everyone. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah, I don't get the idea, and there were a lot of people in Europe who saw Trump as a hero, possibly because
Yeah.
we got a like liberal Democrat establishment on steroids. I mean, you think that you have problems with your liberal Democrat elite, as it were. We have the same, and we thought, well, Trump maybe can liberate, even though he's looking after American interests. But the things that we have in common, like believing in free speech and so on, I thought of him as a breath of fresh air. But now,
I
no,
know.
the Trump supporters, we don't know. If you guys don't know, how can we know? So we don't know to support anymore. It's all very confusing.
It's very confusing, man, because he switched so often. I don't know what I'd love to get inside his head and see what makes him tick and what makes him make these decisions because he just does something so preposterous and there's just no logic behind it. There's no warning that it's coming. It just, oh, okay, well, let's just go attack Iran. Like, really? Or we're still sort of waiting to see what happens with Venezuela. Some people say that was a good move. Some people say, no, nothing's changed. It's staying the same. We don't know, man.
Mm,
But to go and hijack a world leader is certainly new precedent for this
yeah,
planet. I, it's
yeah.
and the Epstein stuff. I don't know what is in vogue over in Europe right now. Like what
Mm.
y'all see, like
Well, I don't even know
are
what.
you like those Americans are freaking nuts, or are you like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
I mean,
that
there's a
important.
lot of anti-Americanism here at the
Yeah,
moment. I'm one of the most pro-American. I've been a defender of Trump for years, and now kind of eating humble pie, I guess,
yeah,
because
that's a
I
whole
mean,
lot.
there's a kind of Europeans are in. They know that they feel vassalized by the Americans, and they're more often and in inferiority complex, if you like. So they like to bash the Americans, I think. And with Trump, they have an excuse. So he's not popular at all. But um, yeah, it's based on prejudice. I think it's the ugly American, and then in the figure of Trump. But I mean, a lot of what he says about Europeans having to defend themselves is correct. We've been living in Daddy's basement. We're the parents, but we're living in Daddy's basement, as it were, for since World War II. But on the other hand, we've been propping up the dollar. We've been so the Americans have been paying for our defense, but they've been paying for that defense with recycled petrodollars. So it's not completely one way that the Americans sacrificed itself. So, but I mean, there is a lot of that, and I still look up. A lot of us still look up to America as the land of innovation. I mean, all the AI I'm using is American, for God's sake. What do we do? All we can do is ban stuff. We're like a nanny state. We don't have our own. I tried a French AI app the other day. I thought, well, maybe they've got something terrible. It was absolute crap. Didn't give you anything at all. And the American AI is one of your gifts to the world, perhaps. I don't know. So yeah, no, Trump.
There's so
Yeah,
much. That's the sad part is that there is such great people here in America.
yeah,
Most people are really good. They will help the other person. They believe what's right. Um, it's just sad when the government is so, but our government doesn't do what the public wants.
yeah,
The government is just running their own agenda.
yeah,
Whether it's Middle East policies or whether certainly with Epstein, we've seen. Yeah, I mean, of course, the American people and most of the world, I think, wants transparency and truth in all this. And Congress is like, well, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. Like, there was a hearing with our former Attorney General Pam Bondi,
yeah,
and they have Epstein witnesses and survivors sitting in the back of the courtroom, and Pam Bondi is sitting there saying how much they've done to help the public and be transparent, and these witnesses are behind them, and these witnesses are saying, "Yeah, we have information that we can offer the government that could help." yes, we'd like to give this information over to the government so they can use it. Yes, we've volunteered this information, but no one wants to listen to us. And it's like, and what government wants to do that? To just
Mm.
not listen to witnesses that have relevant information about a criminal and just protect them. Uh, anyway, it's a mess, dude.
Well,
It's
what do you, I mean, what happened with Epstein? Because there are so many stories. There's one. I mean, if you go to the Pizzagate allegations, that's like the far end of it. That pizza parlors were used for small young children, under the age of 5. And Podesta has his horrible art in his home, the Democrat leader. And there are even deaths. I read some of those Pizzagate files. They talk about napkins and maps as being something you put under the child when you have sex with it. And then there's a kind of the Epstein, which is, well, I mean, how if you're 16 or 17-year-old girl, I mean, in Europe, that's completely above the age of you're allowed to have sex from the age of 15
yeah.
in many European countries, 14 and others 16. So, I mean, I just had a look in Florida, it's the age of consent is 18. So technically a lot of these 16, 17-year-old girls were under the age of consent. So they were children. You could talk about raping minors and so on. But in Europe, that would, and in many states in America, that wouldn't be technically illegal. And we know throughout history, young women have sought power, and there's a kind of, so is what Epstein does it represent? Is there major trafficking going on? Is there taping? And then does it lead to blackmail? Were young children used, or was it like late teen women? Because our standards might have changed. I mean, we might be less accepting of that now than we were 50, 30 years ago. But I mean, as said, young women, 16, 17, 18, they've been part of the scene in many countries and in many periods, that seeing to powerful men. It's unsavory, but that's the way it is. So, do you think the Epstein thing is because we talk about Epstein, but we don't really talk about Epstein, what actually happened, and everybody fills the Epstein vessel with what we want it to be. The Epstein. We talk about the Epstein class. The Russians talk about the Epstein class. What's your take on what actually happened?
Well, I think Epstein was a criminal. His wife, I guess they're married. Ghislaine Maxwell was his consort and criminal partner. She's in jail. I do think there are many guilty billionaires and successful men in America who did participate in crimes. I'm giving you my opinion.
Mm,
Um, so whatever. Uh, so I think there's a whole lot of guilt to be found. Trump has said, "I can't turn these files over. I'll be getting my friends in trouble, or I'll be getting people I know in trouble."
right.
He said that, and supposedly there's people who are willing to testify against Trump. Now we've seen pictures and all. Pictures don't mean anything. You can get anything from a picture, but
Mm,
supposedly there's witnesses wanting to give information about what happened to them, and no one wants to listen. No one in the government wants to hear them. So I do believe there are many crimes that are being protected.
mm,
And it's just shattered the confidence that we have in our government. Ultimately, when you would want to think that at the end of the day, there's somebody there that will distinguish right from wrong and
mm,
can help.
mm.
Like there's someone you can trust that will do the right thing um, when you need them. And when you see something like this happen, it just shatters your trust in government. Like
Mm.
they're knowingly protecting crimes. That did happen. How far it extends, I wouldn't be willing to say
Right.
names. They have been saying names on in Congress and all. There are a few names that are out there,
Mm. So
but
that, I mean, that woman who Prince Andrew put his arm around, in that Giuffre or whatever, she died in Australia recently, maybe murdered. You think that she was just the tip of the iceberg, or was she the? Because some people said, well, she was the only really bad case, but what's your take? Is that loads of Giuffres out there who just haven't had a chance to testify, or being about a fear, or threats?
no, I don't think she's just. She may be the most well known because
Right,
those
but
pictures with
there are
Prince
others.
Andrew. Yeah, I think there's plenty of. I mean, shit. There's so many witnesses wanting to testify in America when
Right,
they give a press conference, and we've got a few good congressmen. Not many are brave. There are not
right.
many, but there are a few that are like, no, we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Mm,
And they'll have 20 or 30 witnesses wanting to give information,
Right.
about what happened to them, and no one wants to listen.
Wow.
The government won't listen. They just
So
no.
is it available on X or maybe on your shows? Because it's a lot of it's the case of finding where it is, where a reliable source of information about the latest developments, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything on my show.
Right.
There are others who have dedicated a lot of their time and to this, but no, I've spoken about it some.
Right.
But there's
I just
definitely
say, I mean, I've
he was going to get arrested in Florida, and then they just wiped the charges, and
right,
he pled guilty to soliciting sex from a minor, some
right.
horribly reduced one. And they were witnesses willing to testify. They were co-conspirators named
Mm.
with him. Like they had it all ready to move forward with the prosecution, and then somebody came in and said, "Get
Yeah.
rid of it."
Or
I don't.
he's
That's the
he's
mystery, man.
intelligence or
Why is he
something.
so protected? That's one of those
Mm.
things. Hopefully, one day, if we get somebody in as a president who's brave, who's willing to like
Right.
has integrity, we'll see.
So do you think that the Epstein issue is what is making Trump unpopular, might be motivating him to do things that will remove the attention from that? Is it a
That was
big,
the
yeah,
theory that he went to Iran to distract people from
right,
Epstein. That to me is a little far-fetched. I don't
right,
really, that's my opinion. I don't see that happening.
right,
You know, they talk about the Situation Room when they were all talking about should we bomb Iran, and Netanyahu was trying to convince them that we need to bomb Iran. Um, Most of them disagreed. Trump says, I think we should. Um,
mm,
but I don't know that Trump did that just because of Epstein or
right,
because that to me's I don't know. I haven't seen anything to suggest that.
right. Um, well, it's interesting because I was intensely following all American news, you know, until the election, and then in the aftermath, and I took my foot off the gas pedal a little bit. So it's good to catch up with you a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, is a Trump done anything right? I mean, some people say that he's closed the borders to people's satisfaction.
That was the first thing he did, yes, and that was a correct move. Now, his immigration policies right now, I think, are horrible.
Hmm.
I am not for mass deportations and going around and locking up people who are working at Home Depot and
Right,
grabbing the person making arepas on the side of the street and sending them home and grabbing. Right now, they're grabbing people at gas stations, deporting them in front of children and stuff. Like
right,
it's just not necessary. I know Britain and Europe has had some issues with immigration. Um, I work with a lot of immigrants,
right,
undocumented, documented, whatever,
hmm,
and my impression is they're good people and they contribute to society. They're not criminals. Do they
right,
commit crimes? Yeah, it happens, but shit, that's not what they're known for. We're talking
right,
about a small percentage. They do contribute. They contribute to our economy. They contribute to a lot of successful companies, and they're, for the most part, doing good.
hmm,
Um, did they need to close the border? Yes, they got crazy there for a while,
hmm,
but going around doing the mass deportations and just hauling people into vans and shipping them off and all that. It's not necessary. It's not,
yeah.
it's, I'm against that.
Is that
So
what's
that,
good? Is that
yeah,
good? Yeah. Carry
it
on.
would be nice for him to pursue Doge a little bit. Are you familiar with Doge?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Elon Musk was warned off it or gave up or was fired or something, wasn't he?
He was, dude, that's the question. He did stop. I don't know if it was threats. I don't know if it was, he just threw his hands up in the air like this is pointless. But to go in and start auditing people and seeing where money's being wasted, that's a good thing. Now he was fought heavily because when you start cutting people's free money, they get angry.
Hmm.
But I'd have liked to have seen that. Those were two good starts. And then Trump just we kind of lost him, man. The Epstein stuff came up. He lied about that. Then he got started getting into wars, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of talk right now about how much he's benefiting his own family with investments and cryptocurrency stuff and going
Yeah.
on. It's
I mean,
nasty,
isn't it
man.
like inside interest? He promises a piece or something, the oil price goes down, and a lot of people can short that or whatever, invest in such a way that they make up insider trading, right? From the White House, apparently. So, in other words, he's enriching his family by his foreign policy decisions, you know,
Yeah.
by raising expectations. Yeah, I mean, a lot of so. I mean, as I said, you sound to me like a disappointed Trump supporter who gave him a chance, and a lot of our opponents as well. Said he's gonna betray you, and he did, didn't he? In other words, they
Yeah,
were right.
it
Yeah,
they were. I listened to their arguments like we knew it was going to happen. That's bullshit. I don't
yeah,
think so. I don't know. I
mm,
mean, at the time of the election, the Democrats were doing a lot of things. I mean, they I don't know how much of this makes it overseas, but basically they had like CIA, FBI, and other organizations, governmental organizations in social media dictating what could be put out and what couldn't. And that was the first, like, what the hell? That was the first what the hell to me. Like I never thought that we would get to that point where the government was sending out groups to monitor and uh, remove information that they disagreed with. That's crazy to me. I just didn't, I never thought America would do something like that. COVID was a mess over here too. I know it was a mess around the world, but um, that was handled poorly by America.
right.
And uh, and then the other side that were against Trump, they wanted to, put men and women in sports together. There's a lot of craziness
Yeah,
stuff.
right. Transgender.
Trump said, if you stand up to this, I don't want to get you in any wars.
Right.
I'm going to fight
He,
the corruption. And now he's become the worst.
so I mean, he promised a lot. I mean, it was
Yeah.
if yeah, um, which we could all approve of. I mean,
Yeah.
and some people said that that the COVID itself was as a psychological or warfare operation to make sure Trump didn't win the election of 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make
I
of
don't,
that, but
have y'all followed Anthony Fauci's diary and all that
no,
overseas?
but I've seen her. I know that he took the Fifth Amendment 100 times or something.
That's right.
That was quite
Not
funny. I mean,
abused,
that
man.
reached us.
He's not even at risk of going to jail, and he pleads the fifth,
Right.
which
So
doesn't make sense.
what were the elements of his diary?
Well, how proud he was, how people would follow everything he said because he had such power. I have not read it, so if I
Right.
misquote something, I
Right.
apologize. But the gist of what I get is he was loving the attention. Uh, Supposedly, he admitted that Wuhan and the gain of function research was the source of the virus. That's my understanding. Again, I have not read the diary. Uh, that people were doing lockdowns and other things because at his suggestion, even though he knew that that was not necessary. That's the sad part, man. I don't care. I'll wear a mask.
Mm,
That was kind of fun.
mm,
But the fact that so many businesses got shut down
mm.
for no reason, and these were people investing their retirement savings and their life savings to start up these little restaurants and companies, and they're just wiped out because some idiot says we need to shut down America.
Right.
That to me is
Well, I mean,
that's
Sweden didn't shut down at all, and Sweden had the best outcome, lowest mortality, excess mortality, lowest economic cost, and we were going to restaurants while the whole of Europe was closed down.
really, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah,
Good for y'all.
so it was Sweden was the only country in Florida, I think, and
Florida
it was
was good.
wonderful. I remember sitting in an Indian restaurant and toasting my girlfriend and saying, all the restaurants in London are closed, all the restaurants in Paris and Rome are closed, and here we are sitting in Sweden enjoying ourselves. Thank you, Sweden.
And COVID free. While the rest of the idiotic world was sitting
That's
there.
right. And I never saw a mask. I never wore a mask. As said, completely normal. And we suffered the least. And then the Guardian and all the left-wing progressive press always said, "Though Sweden, oh, you so disappointed us." But the answers came out right in the end for us. So anyway, we're kind of going to wind up now. But
Okay.
what are your predictions then for the midterms?
I think Democrats will take over. They need to. So there's got to be some sort of a stop to the craziness happening. Um, you know, I would never in the past have said I'm just voting by party line, but right now we need a a governor or a halting to the craziness that goes on. Because right now Trump does whatever he wants to, and no one says anything. They just go with it. I don't get that.
Hmm.
I don't understand why good people just cave in to a psychosis or crazy. I don't understand, man. I don't understand what it goes on behind the scenes that causes good people just to switch so completely. So
Mm.
anyway, and again, I'd love to say I've studied all of the states and I know all the candidates. I don't, man. Just from what I can get is the Democrats should take the House. It's going to be more difficult for them to also take the Senate. But
Mm.
I, from what I can see, they
But
will.
because the Democrats are not exactly inspiring. I mean, they're going through
No, they
a
don't have
kind of
anything either.
convulsion. They don't really know what they're about. And there's a Mamdani, he's a kind of quite left wing, and then so is there a civil war going on with the Democrats now as well, just as there was with MAGA and the traditional Republicans?
There's confusion for sure. They don't have a good leader.
Right.
Mondani, who I actually am like.
Yeah.
I don't. I haven't studied him to the point where I know all of his policies that he's doing in New York. But the fact that he wants to step up and help the little guy, I like that actually.
Right.
Again,
Good.
but I
Yeah.
don't
I
know
mean, it might
every
be the.
aspect of how that's going to affect everyone. I don't know. Uh,
So we can find you on hinesonair.com. You have a podcast, and if and your X account, you showcase those, and you have a lot of great guests. And you've got, I mean, basically, you're an entrepreneur, and you've written a book called "Entrepreneurs Blind Spots When Business Builders." What business builders see that most founders miss. So we're gonna have you on again to talk about that at some point. But it's on as a free ebook, is that right? On that
it is
website.
a
So
free ebook. Yes, sir. Yeah,
great.
please go Hines on air. We do have a lot of good episodes and stuff, so please check it out.
Yeah,
YouTube, Spotify. We're on all the major channels.
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, well, great to talk to you, Matt.
Hey,
And I
enjoyed it.
wish you
Thank you for letting me on your show.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a good
Yes,
day.
sir.
Thanks.
See you.
Take
You too.
care.
Yep. Bye bye.